Outstanding.
Little golf clap.
Outstanding. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful.
What a good Monday. What are we talking about today, Mark?
Well, sometimes in the course of managing a website for a
Hmm.
variety of reasons, you want to have a little sub-site, a mini site within the site. Maybe you've got a cafe in the store and you want a little menu and a separate page for that. And it doesn't need to have all of the same navigation items. It might need a different header or a different footer or a banner or that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And there is I don't know what to call it. You may never have known it was there. Setting called alternative page settings. And that's exactly what that's designed to do. So I want to take a look at that today. Even though it's
Nice.
rarely used, I do hear often applications for it. So if we go to
Hmm.
settings and website and site settings and scroll down to advanced settings, it's seldom used if it takes 11 clicks to get to it.
Hmm. Hmm.
You see these alternative page settings. And so this one is one we helped the store do that wanted a page that focused on specialized. So we called it a specialized microsite. Now I just copied it to my actually I didn't. This has been here for years. I copied it to my demo site. So it's not exactly perfect, but basically this is what that page looks like. So you can see it's a little goofy, but there's a separate banner at the top that's different than the banner on let's do that. Here's the way it looks. The regular site looks. And then this is the way the alternative page settings look. So it's got different navigation. It's got a different little banner at the top.
Hmm.
And of course, the page content can always be different. And it's got a different footer at the bottom, which we can tell because it's just the blank one.
Hmm.
So very different than this footer. And so in that way, you could build this internal mini site, which is just a page you create, but then you can put these extra details around it so that when a consumer interested in that particular topic, maybe it's the cafe or maybe it's an event or an organization you're supporting and you want to
Hmm.
have content about that on the site, but it doesn't need to have all of the other things like the services and resources and shopping things that
Yeah.
the main site has. This is the way you can configure that and keep that separate. Now, you can also then, with DNS settings, which is beyond the scope of this little video, point a domain to that page so that it could be, mybikeshopscafe.com could land on this page. Now, when it lands, it will resolve differently. So if you have a separate domain, it's still going to resolve to the main domain of the site. But these days, nobody's really paying attention to domain names. I doubt anybody would even notice that they thought they were going to mycafe.com and they landed on mark.smartdetailing.net.
Hmm.
But that is how that works. So it doesn't retain that domain, but you can use it for marketing purposes to direct people to this subsite. And let's go back to full screen. And here's how you set that up. So we'll just edit this one. So you can give it a name so that you can keep them separate. You might have 4 or 5 different alternative page
Hmm.
settings. You can decide whether it displays the standard header and that or doesn't display it at all. You can drop in the banner that you want to use from the available active banners. Same with footers. You can create new navigation and use that. And then you can give it this which page do you want to use to preview, and that's typically just going to be the page that you intend to use with these settings. But remember, these settings could be applied to multiple pages. So the idea is which one do you want to use when you're previewing it? It wouldn't otherwise know.
Hmm.
And then you can even do a little more advanced things. So past this last section, past preview page, this gets to be a little more advanced. So this is about CSS. So you can even give it a special class, a custom class. And that way, if you're writing any CSS, you can address that class specifically within that code.
Hmm.
So if you've done some custom work to it, that's how you can handle that. And then I'll do this because I did this about 7 times this morning as I was getting ready. This isn't the save change button. This is over here is the one you have to use. It's very frustrating if you press it because then you think you saved it, but you didn't. You
Hmm.
have to save the changes within this little section get saved here, and then
Oh.
overall you save the settings there. So it's a two-step process.
I
But
see.
that, in a nutshell, is how you can do that. So you can have as many of these little settings as you want. You can start from scratch, build new ones for different things. I
Hmm.
wouldn't get too carried away because it can get difficult. We don't want to confuse consumers. So make sure that
Yeah.
you're using these specific with whatever page content you're thinking about.
Yeah, and it just becomes one more thing you have to maintain.
Yes. And
But
remember to apply. If you've got
yeah.
12 pages using three different alternative page settings and you're editing pages and adding pages, you've got to remember to go in and apply that. Oh, speaking of that, let's go look at that's a good question, Susie. So you're saying, where would you actually apply this in a page?
Yeah.
That's a very good question. We can just use this page. So if you edit the page and go to page settings and advanced, that's right here.
Mhm.
So this is where you can apply that and then apply this. I'm not going to do that because that will mess up my about page that's probably already messed up, but no sense double messing up things. But that's how
Yep.
you apply this. So once you
Hmm.
just choose whichever page you want and then choose which advanced or alternate page settings you want, there you
Hmm.
go. And then you apply the setting and save the page and you're done.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen retailers do this with maybe if they have like an internal brand of
Hmm.
theirs, like a product brand.
Yeah.
And then I thought maybe that specialized example was one that they did that too, then they could run for running specific ads. Maybe
Yes,
that
you
was
can
what they're using.
certainly do that. So you've got this page now that if you're doing awareness ads or even product focus ads, we say ads, I mean Google ads or could
Thank
be
you.
meta ads or whatever.
Hmm.
Then this gives you a piece of content to go specifically to that is really focused on this particular brand. And it can be a brand, it can be a concept, it could be an organization, it could be anything that needs its own focus, and you want to remove some of the other what would be distractions in this particular case. So it's very
Nice.
very effective for that,
Hmm.
and it doesn't get used very often. So I
Hmm.
encourage people to think about that because it can really make you can do a couple things. It can make the website more powerful, but it also can save you some money because you might think, well, I need to have a separate website for this. I don't really want a separate website, but I need to. And
Mm-hmm.
so you got to go set up another account, even if it's free or near free for a one page account. Now it's a separate thing you have to maintain. And if you can do that all within the Workstand admin, you've made yourself more efficient
Yeah.
and kept and honestly kept people on your website.
Hmm.
So that's even better.
Yeah. Great point.
There you go.
Cool.
That's enough.
That's thank you.